And we are back, and we just finished watching 1981's Arthur, rated PG, with a runtime of 1 hour and 37 minutes. This we found on the TCM app, so it will be going away shortly, but we got this in, and it comes to us from writer-director Steve Gordon, and stars Dudley Moore as Arthur Bach, a billionaire playboy who really likes his hooch.
He certainly did.
When the story opens up, he is 3 sheets to the wind, and he is trying to hit up some ladies of the evening for some companionship. He manages to convince one of them to get in his car, and they go to some fancy restaurant.
Well, I think he was only looking for one.
Yes, but I think he would have gone either way.
Yeah, I don't think he was being too picky.
No, not at all. Did you ever see this before?
I saw this in the theater when I was a little boy.
I saw this in the theater, too.
And
I think I liked it more before. It's definitely a product of the time.
Product of the time.
I think I didn't find it as funny. And I think that you said something really pertinent. You were like, well, there's just so much, oh, look at this scamp alcoholic that you can...
Well, it's a different time. Now you would watch this movie or...
And feel bad for him.
If a person was like Arthur, you'd be like, oh, he's got a disease. He's a raging alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I mean, the way they play it in this movie, it's like, oh, it's an endearing quality that he's this giggling drunk.
Right.
And all the people that want him to stop drinking are the bad guys.
Yeah.
They're stuck up, snooty rich folk who want him to get a real job and be more responsible.
And not be his authentic self.
Meanwhile, his authentic self is just
a raging alcoholic. And the only person that truly loves him is Linda, played by Liza Minnelli.
Yes, she
accepts him warts and all.
She accepts him warts and all. But the thing is, when he was with her, he was sober.
Yeah. Because I guess she brought him joy. It was like authentic joy.
He didn't need to find the joy from
the bottle,
being drunk all the time. Because when he was with Linda, he was sober. When he met her afterwards,
he was always sober.
For their date, he was sober. Meanwhile, everywhere else.
Yeah, but with Susan, the girl that he was supposed to marry.
He was purposely getting, like, as soon as he'd walk in, he'd be like, give me a drink, give me a drink, give me a drink. It's never played like he's miserable and he's just like, sons of bitches.
No, he's a happy
$5. He's never like that. It's always he's cracking jokes. He's giggling nonstop. He is like the happiest drunk. If alcoholism was that, I'm sure people wouldn't feel so badly about it. Right. You know, you just take away all the drunk driving and the belligerence and just replace it with giggling and jokes.
Yeah. It's, this is fun.
This is great.
This is endearing.
I want to be drunk too. As a young boy, probably, I mean, I don't remember this, but that was probably my takeaway from it.
Yeah.
I never became an alcoholic, thank God. But being drunk seemed like a blast. Mm-hmm. I think my mom discussed, being an alcoholic with me when I was a little kid, and she's like, "Oh, you lose control, and you start hallucinating. You see pink elephants and little green men," and I was just like, "Oh, mommy, that sounds great." Daffy Duck and Scooby Doo jumping up the walls.
Well, I think, it's funny. The 80s were so different, right? The 80s were just so damn different. This definitely played. This is a very successful film in the 80s. And yet they tried to remake it with Russell Brand, and it just tanked horribly, didn't it?
Yeah. But this also had a sequel, too. If I remember. It
did, but I
don't
think
Arthur 2 on the Rocks or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Where he loses all his money, if I recall.
Yeah.
But yeah, this should have just been a one and done, because it's a cute movie.
Yeah,
it's definitely cute. It's got its funny moments.
It's got its sweet moments.
It's got its sweet moments. I like you. It probably was funnier when you see it the first time.
Sure,
but it's still a good movie. You got John Gielgud.
The pacing was really good, I thought. Yeah. For an 81 movie, it held my interest. I laughed. I mean, it wasn't like Step Brothers laughing or Old School laughing, but it was parts of it were endearing. I love that Christopher Cross song, Arthur's theme, and
John Gielgud.
Was the goat in this.
Such a bitch.
He was so funny. Oh my God, he was so funny.
He was just tearing people down.
Lines,
he had the best lines.
Yeah. And his delivery.
And to Arthur's, like when he made a joke about Liza Minnelli, Arthur was like, "Don't you do that?
Ever talk about her like that?" Yeah.
It showed
so you could tell that he was serious
he
about this girl. Yeah,
exactly.
And I think he realized that too, because then what was his name? Bitterman. He goes to see her to basically tell her, "Oh, you should be
be at this fancy
get together." Hobson, that was his name.
Hobson. Yes, John Gielgud as Hobson.
Bitterman was the cab.
Bitterman was the chauffeur.
Right?
Yeah, who was also very nice.
Yeah. Played by Ted Ross. He's that guy in that thing. You've seen him.
Yes.
Yeah, he was excellent too. But John Gielgud, I think, was fantastic in this, and probably the most important person in Arthur's life, more so than even his father and his grandmother.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, John Hobson was his dad.
Yeah. And loved him as a son. And gave him that tough love.
Gave him that tough love, but also he did kind of enable him.
Sure. Giving him drinks.
In the bath. Yeah. But I mean, he was the butler after.
Yeah. Stiff upper lip. His grandma was nuts too.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I mean, we've been saying lately about how properties, things to remake. What do you think of this? I mean, they did try.
They tried. I don't think this would play well because, like I said, sensibilities have just changed.
If you changed him from a happy drunk to something else, what would it be?
I don't know.
What's an endearing quality?
Well, it has to be something that people look down upon or people think is bad for you, like that's stunting your growth as a person. Because Arthur he was directionless.
Right.
He had nothing to offer, really anything. I mean, he was lucky he was born into such wealth.
Yeah.
Because what could he do? He could drive a race car. A big deal.
Yeah.
He was just wasted 90% of the time.
He was a man-child.
Exactly. Yeah. And there was these people are like, you just got to clean yourself up. I'll make you an executive in my company. And,
Susan's dad. Yeah.
All this stuff is just thrown at his feet. And
because of who he is.
Because of who he is.
Right.
And he doesn't care. He just wants to get wasted.
I mean, but like we said before, he's getting wasted in that life. But when he's with when he's with Linda, he gets to be his authentic self.
He gets to be sober. So maybe eventually, if he's with Linda long enough, he'll figure out what he actually wants to do with his life.
Yeah.
Maybe that's explored in the sequel, and that's why he's penniless by that point. But either
did he go through $750 million? My goodness.
Who knows?
Yeah.
To remake that now,
I guess that time.
Yeah, you can't really make a happy drunk, really.
No.
And not as the main character, not as the character that I gotta be honest. In this day and age, they would make it seedy. They would make it. Oh, he's so drunk that his liver is destroyed and he's pissing himself. And he cheated on Liza Minnelli and
on Linda.
Yeah.
Or hear me out. It's not told through his vantage point. What if it's told through the vantage point of Linda? Here's this woman from a blue collar household, a waitress trying to become an actress, and then she meets this guy who she doesn't know anything about, and then through her love, he becomes better. He can be like that man-child because he's been babied all his life because of who he is.
You shouldn't. That's that whole fantasy of.
She's gonna. But
I could change him.
Oh, you're right.
It just falls into that trope, and that's bullshit. If you see that in a movie, 9 out of 10 times, it's nonsense. It's really bad. It's you shouldn't have written this story.
Yeah.
You're
feeding into these stereotypes.
But I can change him.
Yeah.
It's a terrible theory to have.
Okay,
by the time Arthur is the age that he is,
he should have figured his shit out.
Yeah, it's not like he's a young man.
No.
He's like he's in his 30s, probably pushing 40.
Right. I'm sure Dudley Moore was in his 40s, but he's allegedly playing a 30-year-old man or something. Yeah.
By that point, you're not going to change him.
No.
They have to change themselves.
Right.
So that script wouldn't work either.
All right. I guess the window for
the only other end road to the making it we'll do it from Linda's point of view is she leaves him. She's like, I put up with your drunkenness enough and now I'm gone.
Right.
Yeah. And then it's not a comedy. Maybe if you know what? Maybe if they made it into a Step Brothers-esque,
just over the top,
ridiculous thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe then. But even now, like I don't even know if you could. I mean, Step Brothers it's not that bad, and Old School is not that bad. But
those films
there are elements in there that people would probably get their panties in a twist about.
Yeah. Like the movies like that can't happen now, right?
Yeah,
I feel like
I don't know. I think I always feel like somebody is going to be, you're glorifying alcoholism and
promiscuity
promiscuity
and he got the whore to come over and
you can't even call her a whore, the sex worker. Yeah, it's just I don't think Arthur is a property that can be remade now.
No. I mean, they did try to make it, and it didn't do well. So, yeah, I guess that's
but
indicative of...
That was like, what, early 2000s? They tried to remake
something like that.
It was when Russell Brand was still acceptable. But I don't know. It came out in
2011.
I think that guy was living the gimmick too hard.
Yeah, a drunken playboy stands to lose a wealthy inheritance when he falls for a woman his family doesn't like. Who's the woman that his family doesn't like? It says Jennifer Garner.
Was it Jennifer? I bet Jennifer Garner played the one that he was arranged to marry.
I don't know. Nick Nolte was in it. Greta Gerwig was in it. Oh, no. Is Greta Gerwig the Liza character?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. You're right. Maybe Jennifer Garner is the Susan.
Yeah. She's played uptight people before.
Oh, I guess he does wind up with Greta Gerwig. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess having a story about a happy drunk just is not going to play.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
I think those days are done.
Yeah. Oh, the 80s.
Yeah. Either that or they would end up, it's played for laughs in a couple of scenes, but then they're going to just make it ugly.
Yeah.
And show like what happens when you are a raging alcoholic.
And is my boy Luis Guzman the Gielgud character, I wonder?
Maybe. I don't know. I never saw it, and I really never want to.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm with you in that.
But Arthur itself, it's a decent movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely
it's a product of its time.
It's definitely a product of its time. It definitely can't come back. This is not a movie that could be remade now for sure.
But it's good for its time.
Yeah, I guess if you're into like 80s nostalgia, I
mean,
we
performances, a lot of jokes still hit.
Yeah.
Dudley Moore is charming in his little giggly drunk way.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Liza Minnelli fan, but she was good in it. Jerry's dad.
Who's Liza's dad in this film?
I forgot what that actor's name is, but
wait, wasn't somebody else from Seinfeld on there? Was Lawrence Tierney in there?
Lawrence Tierney made an appearance in the diner. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Lawrence Tierney.
Tell him we're frightened and we want to go home. All right. I mean, there's really not much to say here. I think that if you're looking for some nostalgia, Arthur from the 80s might be the way to go. If not, that's it. That's fine too. But I think it's definitely a nice little trip down memory lane. It's nice to see New York in the 80s. That's always great. I think there was shots of the World Trade Center at some point, so that's always kind of surreal to see at this point in time. So yeah, I think from where it starts to where it ends, I think it's definitely total 80s realness. And if you want to go down memory lane, you can go check it out. It is, let me see, we got it on the TCM app, but if you are so inclined, this is to buy rent on Prime.
All right.
And 1 to 10, what are you going to give it?
I'd give it a 7.
I was going to say 6.5.
All right.
6.5, 7. Yeah. I mean, if you are able to check it out, if not,
you're not missing anything.
Yeah, you're not missing anything.
But
okay.
If you did see it, I don't think you'd be bored.
No. Yeah. And again, if you want to take that trip down nostalgia lane, then definitely check it out. That's it from us, and we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.